Hey there, I'm Curly, and welcome to Unfiltered and Undiscovered, the podcast where three music lifers dig into the songs, the stories, and the legends of music that may not have crossed your radar yet. But if you're new here, let me set the scene. I'm the punter, the guy who swears that the best music, the best Australian independent music, was in 1986. I've got the record collection to prove it. Now, joining me each week, I've got Braggy. He's a lifelong muso, a dreamer that's still waiting for that one song of his to go viral. He knows his stuff and he loves digging into lyrics. And of course, we've got Rossy. Rossy, the roadie, the manager, and the guy with a story about every band that's ever plugged into a pub PA system anywhere from Perth to Parramatta. Together, we get unfiltered with the best undiscovered artists across Australia and occasionally the world. And occasionally, we also talk a whole lot of rubbish around artists that we already love. Let's get into it.
Hey y'all, I'm Alison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids Hunters.
This is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
You're listening to our friends, Braggy, Rossy, and Curly
on the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
Hey there, everyone. It's Curly here, and welcome to episode 226 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. We are three old blokes with one obsession, and that's music that matters. We have unfiltered chats with undiscovered guests. Every week on the pod, it's guitars, grit, and the good stuff that you're certainly not going to hear on mainstream radio. This is Unfiltered and Undiscovered. And wherever you're listening and watching, please hit that like and subscribe button and share it with someone that you know needs some new music in their life. Now, once again, I'm going to introduce my co-hosts. We have got Braggy, fresh from a Grace Jones concert in Wome, Adelaide. And then, of course, we've got the celebrity roadie down there in the capital city of rock music and in Rossy. How are we, boys? How are you, Braggy?
Very well, thank you, Curly. Rossy?
And Rossy?
Rossy's. I'm delightful, thank you very much.
You always are. You always are. Once that record button hits, Rossy becomes delightful, doesn't he? So,
I go back to eating a bit from Twisted Old Fruit later.
Yeah. So, Braggy, you had a big weekend.
Curly, I've had a great weekend here. It's Mad March here in the music capital of Australia. And we've just had WOMAD come, and I think I haven't got the official numbers out yet. Last year, I think for the 4 days, they had a total of nearly 100,000 people. I reckon they're going to break it this year. Because we had really good weather. Usually it's like 40 fucking degrees, but this year it was like nice 25, 26. I only went 1 day and I saw Grace Jones. I saw Arrested Development. I'd never thought I'd see them. And I was just telling you before we came on air. Oh, I saw Yotha Yindi as well.
Oh wow,
which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's. I think though it's only the singer and the guy that plays the sticks is the only two original guys. I think.
Okay.
Oh, and the Didge guy and the guy playing the Didge.
But Mando is no longer with us, the original singer.
Yeah, they did have a shout out to him. So they were good. But I saw this guy, I mentioned you before, his name's Jalen Ngonda. And if your listeners are listening and they want to check out someone pretty amazing, it's new, JalenNgonda. He's like a soul singer, but he's got a voice that's very androgynous. It's pretty much, if you couldn't see him, you'd think it was a female voice. It's incredible.
Okay.
So that's been my weekend. Rossy?
And Rossy, in your world, what's been happening?
Well, I was with my young friends from Star Crazy.
Okay.
We did a show with Red Cross, the American 90s power pop stars.
Wow.
And it was also the hard-ons with Tim Rogers were on the bill as well.
Oh.
Wow.
So
were they headlining, Rossy?
Red Cross were. Red Cross are massive. Every old head in Sydney was there, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
as they would have
So
been.
I'm very excited about this. We're a big Red Cross family household. My partner and my son are both at Red Cross tonight, who are doing a session at Triple R, and we're going to see them, I think, twice on the weekend as well.
Wow.
Fantastic. You will love them. They are so good. Really, really good.
And for the listeners and the viewers, that voice you heard was our special guest tonight, Nathan. He's the perennial Sydney-Melbourne arch rivalry that we have, and we finally got a Melbourne artist on the show. But Nathan, I'm still going to get you to hold just a little bit before we get back into speaking with you, because it was the first week of the expanded, unfiltered, and undiscovered footy tipping contest. And can I just say, what an interesting round in both codes, NRL and AFL. So Rossy's leading the NRL. He's got 6 points. We've got a couple of our listeners and viewers. Complete luck, yes. Well, I think there was more skill in my tipping, just quietly, but we'll get there. Our new additions to the footy tipping, we got Catastrophe, which is our good friend Kat, and we got Waxer, which is our Agnes Water World Tour host, and who are then equal second on 5. We got Tave, who's on 4. We got Big Stu, the country music correspondent, sitting on 3. We have got Katie Brooke, the songstress from Northern Rivers, sitting there also in our footy tipping contest on 3. And yours truly is bringing up the rear with 2. So not a great weekend, but an expanded comp. And Rossy's got the chocolates first week, mate, even with the Roosters going down.
That's always going to hurt me because I can't tip against them.
Is that just the NRL? What happens in the?
That's just the NRL, and then we go into the AFL, and Rossy's leading that as well, right? So Rossy's got 3. Big Stu, country music correspondent, sitting on 3. Tave's on 3, so there's an equal first, right? But Rossy was closest with the margin. Then comes Waxer, who's on 2. Curly, who's on 2, and Kat, who's on 2. So a bit of a tight competition. But as part of our footy tipping contest this year, we have what they know as the knockout round, where you've got to choose one tip out of the ones that you've done, and to see who lasts the longest. Needless to say, Curly's out on both already, so he's already been knocked out. Waxer was knocked out of the NRL and the AFL, and Tave's been knocked out of the NRL, which leaves just Rossy, Kat, and Katie Brooke in the knockout comp. So a little bit different, little bit interesting. So we'll see how it all. I'm just giving you guys a bit of a head start, and lulling you into a false sense of security, maybe,
like you did last year.
Yeah. Who won it last year? Did Braggy get bragging rights?
I think I won.
On the end, I think he got it.
Yeah.
Got it on the bell. Got it on the bell.
Yeah, I think you did too. All right, let's introduce our guest from Melbourne, Nathan Jones. He releases music as New Birds. He's been writing and performing since he was 16, but for a long time. And I'm really intrigued by your email heading, your subject title that you sent to us, Returning to Music Without Pretending Anymore. So you've been writing, but practical life and work and responsibility had never really worked, but the music kept insisting. And once again, I just love that terminology there. The music just kept sitting there.
Yeah.
He's just released an album on all the streaming sites, and it's there's a hum behind the silence, and it's a very interesting collection. So welcome to the show, Nathan. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Dathan, it seems like you've been on a bit of a musical journey. So I've got so many questions, but I'm going to start with the basic one, which is if you can just give us maybe a fill in on your musical journey so far. I know it's probably long, but if you could break it down just to get to this point.
Sure. Yeah, it is a long story. I guess probably like lots of musicians, started playing in bands when I was about 16, with my best mate in England, Dave, and we had big dreams. We could never find a bassist or a drummer, but we were a band. We called ourselves a band, and just kept on sort of pushing forward, doing Nirvana covers and Ash covers and stuff that we liked. Started writing some sort of original songs maybe a year or so after that, and we were just always thwarted by not actually being able to find other members. Then in about 2001, I met some other musos at a record shop. And really quickly, we just kind of hit it off and we formed a band, the International Language of Mime, came out to Australia. We had originally planned to go to New York, but it was literally after 9/11, and we went to the embassy and they just laughed us out, and rightly so. And so, yeah, my mate Dom, who was the bassist, he went, well, I hear Australia's, stuff's happening in there. Melbourne has a great band scene. So we came out here as the International Language of Mime, and just, I fell in love with Australia. And I guess that was kind of the proper start, actually making music. But that band, we were kind of like the Beatles or something, in that there was 4 really distinct personalities, all writing songs, and it didn't really mesh that well. Our personalities and our influences were sort of too different. So we sort of never really got past the gigging stage, playing the Tote and the Art House and all these kind of awesome institutions. Then we basically, due to circumstances, visas running out, we sort of broke up. And I just, I'd already got a taste for music. I wanted to carry on. So I kept on going, just with a new name. I called myself The Last Band, which,
That's good. That's a good name.
It's such a kind of young, arrogant band name. Like the idea being that we were the last great band. Such ambition at the age of 22 or something. And of course, with such huge ambition, you can only really fail.
But in music, failing's not really failing. Failing's just learning. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, yeah, sort of spent the next decade or so sort of trying to, writing music, discovering how to record music, fluctuating bandmates sort of coming and going. Had a couple of years where I just got completely sidetracked and started an indie night in Melbourne called Panic, which did really, really well. And so I was just immersed in that kind of indie scene, and that kind of indie dance thing, like LCD Sound System.
Oh, yeah.
The Rapture, that sort of thing. And then eventually around sort of 2010, really started getting sort of serious again. Had still been writing music the whole time. There is a Last Band album floating around somewhere, which I'm sort of proud of moments of it. Probably like most of our early experiments. It's sort of, I look at it kind of with fondness at the sort of naivety and the ambition. And yeah, around 2010 was when the guy I used to DJ with, Ted, we started putting together what eventually became New Birds. And again, sort of everyone writing, me and Ted writing. My friend Dave, who I was in my very first band from England, he turned up in Melbourne. And so we were reunited and properly became a proper band. Some of that stuff is on the YouTube New Birds channel from about 2014, 2015, where we actually look like a real band. There's, 3 of us. We're kind of doing skits. We're having fun in the studio, preparing for gigs. And again, like the New Bird story always seems to happen, thwarted again by Dave's visa running out. So he went back to England, and my friend Ted wanted to commit to doing indie nights again. And so literally within a week of our very first gig, New Birds was me. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. I don't care anymore about not having any musicians. I just took my drum machine with me, assembled whatever musicians that I could find to sort of help fill out the sound. So it sort of became more of, I guess, something like 9 Inch Nails, in that it's me doing everything, writing the music, pushing everything, hassling people, contacting people, and I'm just sort of getting musicians around to sort of help fill out the sound. So yeah, and then here we are. There was a couple of EPs sort of along the way. Life got in the way, but really, sort of December last year was when I was like, something just clicked and changed. And yeah, it feels like it feels really different this time. Like this whole big journey has sort of led up to where I am now.
All I've listened to is this new album, which I'm going to ask you about the name of it as well later on. So I don't know if your other stuff before was like this, but it's very, I'm going to describe it as haunting. And I'm glad it's an album, and there's not. We have a lot of people on it, and I understand why people put singles out. That's fair enough. But I'm glad it's a big body of work. I think it flows together well. And I was trying to think. I usually try and think when I hear someone I've never heard before. I wonder what their influences are. It's kind of hard with you because I guess you're a bit older. But I'm hearing some Radiohead, maybe sort of stuff there. I don't know if you're a fan of them. Actually, even hear Syd Barrett in some of your stuff, like early Floyd. So,
I was intrigued to hear you say 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
9 Inch Nails. Like I've been watching a lot of, through happenstance, been watching a lot of 9 Inch Nails lately. I could hear in your vocal a bit of Peter Murphy from Bauhaus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I was getting a bit of a post-punk feel out of some of that stuff. That like late 70s, early 80s sort of post-punk feel for some of that stuff. But then again, it's eclectic with like the sound of the drum machine and stuff like that. It was kind of fascinating.
Yeah. And
I think
Nathan, just from my perspective, it's interesting. Braggy called it haunting. I was trying to describe your music to someone at work today, and I said it's like it's a soundtrack for Midnight at the Graveyard, right? Because that's the sense that I got from it. But in Blue Light Falling, I heard Jesus and the Mary Chain, right? So there's that. So I don't know whether that's an influence or whether that's something that was an intentional or just by happenstance. But I was listening to that and I'm going, I'm getting that sense of, very early Jesus and the Mary Chain with the fold back and all that sort of stuff.
There's a love I can't let go of, though it's better breathing. There's a love I can't let go of, and no one's really free. a hum behind the silence, like a song you used to recognize. There's a hum behind the silence, but it never quite aligns. There's a God inside the circus, she forgives me just for saying please.
Feedback.
Yeah, that's it.
Same thing, actually. They call them fallback solos. They call them fallback solos.
Yeah, I mean, even if you think like some of the songs, like "Breed the Monsters," is almost. I'm hearing like this, like Gregorian chants. You know, real like medieval almost. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you know, those Gregorian chants. The melody of the melody of your voice is not a lot of notes, but that's what makes it so haunting. And simple chord structures as well, simple chord progressions, like two chords maybe change. Also, like the way in a lot of songs that you leave the drums out for a bit, and then they kick in. So what's like the name of the album? There's a hum behind the silence. I Googled that, right, just so I could find a bit more about you. And I got this thing called the hum phenomenon. Now I don't know if this is I don't know if you guys know about this. Do you know about this, Rossy?
Tell me, Braggy.
Okay, so some people, and the first recorded case was in '76, can hear a hum, right, a low rumble, and this guy in in Canada started there was lots of people that were reporting this, so he started plotting where it was happening, and it's mostly in big population centers, but the biggest place is in Sydney, right? And there's a case of a lady who could hear this hum when she drove past this, and she thought it was just construction, but then the construction finished and she can still hear it, right? And she went and saw. She's not a crazy lady. She went and saw these people, and they just couldn't explain it. But it was only in a certain area where she could hear it. So it's kind of strange. They think it might be some sort of tinnitus that people have that's weird, or it could be a psychological thing. Am I on the right track with that, Nathan, or am I just freaking
off the?
Look, I really appreciate the research, but
no. It's fair enough.
No, it's a lyric from Blue Light Falling. So I just kind of went through all the album, like all the lyrics in the album, and sort of looked at things that looked like they could work as album titles.
Fair enough.
And so it's more sort of like that song in particular is kind of about the rise of AI. Like I'm a big technology fan. I love it. Like I love AI as a tool, sort of used safely. I find it very terrifying that it's just allowed to sort of be out there, and people are making music with it and stuff like that. But
I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah. But yeah, that song in particular is about I guess the concept of people sort of having AI chat friends on their phone, and like surely that's not a good thing. That can, I was just kind of imagining people falling in love with their AI chatbots.
I think,
and so it's
that's not outside the realms of possibility. Like if you've ever tried to search for something like Copilot or Gemini and use the voice activated prompts, especially Copilot, for example, it starts talking back to you and it almost feels sentient, and it's kind of disturbing. So, Peter, if there's anything else you want to talk to me about, going, fuck off,
Yeah.
Mind your own business, you bitch.
Nathan, it's a great subject to write about, and especially in that song, I kind of figured that when I hear the lyrics, there's a ghost inside my phone, and a girl made out of nothing. I kind of figured it's about that, and I guess the blue light is probably the screen we're talking about as well.
Yeah.
So really good lyrics. That's the ones I've written down here. So.
Yeah, I tried a thing. I was just kind of mucking around with AI and experimenting, where I wouldn't recommend it. It's frightening and it's evil, and don't do this. But I took a David Bowie interview from the kind of mid-noughties and put it into an AI ChatGPT or something and said, all right, there's a load of information. Now talk back to me like you're David Bowie. And it was hauntingly,
Chilling.
yeah, really chilling, because it was very good at it. And so that song is also sort of about that, like, you know, that was a literal kind of weird David Bowie ghost talking to me. I didn't like it very much and shut it down very quickly.
But given that we're in the very early stages of AI, really, like it's in its absolute infancy, like we need to get some ethical and moral sort of frameworks around it to control it, because it's terrifying. You're absolutely right. Like the amount of spoofing that's going on, and like in terms of media analysis and stuff, we find it very hard to analyze what's real and what's not now, and that's kind of disturbing. So like one of those, those Spotify artists that are AI, it's like, come on,
Yes, I agree. But what Nathan's done here, like by putting isn't it David Bowie thing? That's the most creative thing I've heard so far.
It's a creative use of it. It's a creative use, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like people need, like, the technology is there to be used, and it's really interesting. But like in the hands of people who don't have a moral compass, it can be quite disturbing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost Frankenstein's monster-esque. It was really creepy.
Imagine.
And it was so good, and I could completely see myself sort of getting sucked into it and going, well, I've got David Bowie. He's on my phone.
Now.
He's my friend now.
Friend.
He'll talk to me about anything. He'll never not be there. He's always there, just happy to answer my questions. Very, very unsettling.
Could you get Mick Ronson for me?
Yeah. I wonder what would happen if you typed in an interview with Ozzy Osbourne.
You'd probably just get AI gibberish.
Jared.
Poor Ozzy.
I was watching some really interesting, watching some of those 1970s Lou Reed interviews. They'd be good to do it with.
They would.
Like, Lou Reed, when he arrives in Sydney, and they talk to him, they say, so what are you doing here? He goes, I don't know. They told me to come in here.
So did you record? Is this recorded at home, Nathan? You just done this?
Yeah. It's pretty much everything recorded at home. I just I've got Ableton Live on my MacBook. I splashed out some years ago with some inheritance, and went, well, I'm going to put this money to some use, and just like, how often do you just get a chunk of money that you can use? And I thought I'll do this, and then every time I use it, it's sort of like a bit of a tribute to her or something. And so Ableton is my recording thing of choice, and just my trusty Fender guitar amp, couple of pedals, a fairly decent mic plugged into my MacBook. And like, I started doing that years ago, and all the guitars I was never that happy with. They always sounded a bit lousy to me. But this time around, I just sort of spent a lot more time fiddling with effects and really sort of trying to pretend like I was a producer, and tinkering with tiny things, and was much happier with it this time. Like, the guitars just kind of sounded bigger and louder, and you had a bit of delay on a couple of them, and a bit of echo on things, and layer them, and the layers kind of do stuff.
They're a bit fat. They're fat enough, I thought. I'm always listening to guitar.
You've used the stereo field well in a couple of tracks with your loops as well. That's good.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I guess it comes from being a Beatles fan, and that sort of that extreme stereo that the Beatles used to have.
Yeah, I love it.
And just like, I feel like people don't really do that as much, or if they do, it's quite subtle. Whereas I quite like recording
vocals over here, band over there.
Yeah.
Or just like, one guitar track here, one guitar track here, and they're doing the same thing, but it just kind of gives that kind of full, rich kind of
Space.
double tracking space. Yeah. So love mucking around with stereo and panning stuff from left to right. Good fun.
So you said you've been a DJ, so that whole love of electronic kind of comes in too, right? So an Ableton is perfect tool for that. Absolute perfect tool for that. So the drum machine coming in sounded great. I like I'm hearing like the haunts, the vintage echoes of those original sounding machines. I just love it. Like instead of making drums try to sound like modern drums, make them sound like a drum machine. I think I love that.
Yeah, and there was so only one thing not recorded at home when I got sort of, I guess, the next incarnation of New Birds together to start thinking about doing some live stuff. And I got to the rehearsal room early. This was sort of mid-January. It was absolutely stinking hot in there. And there was just at the end of the first song on the album, there's a bit where I'm a bit more shouty and screamy than usual. I kind of knew I wanted to go for something like that, but doing that at home in an apartment is not very nice to your neighbors. And just like I can do it, and I have done it, and just never, like, you can't really let yourself go. So in this rehearsal room with the aircon purposely not on, so creating a bit of an uncomfortable atmosphere, I was just kind of trying to do the last verse and not quite getting it and getting really frustrated. I knew that the band was starting to arrive and I was running out of time, and just out of nowhere this weird scream came out of my voice that I'd never heard before. It wasn't even the right notes. It was like a third higher than I was intending. And that was the take I used. I was like, well, that was unusual and a happy accident. We'll go with that.
Yeah,
they're the best, aren't they? Those accidents.
So good. Yeah. Love a happy accident.
It's now about trying to replicate the accident, isn't it, Nathan?
Yeah.
So do I always have to be really hot and time pressured?
Uncomfortable and awkward.
You're in Australia. I mean, it's always going to be pretty hot.
And even better, I'm a POM in Australia, so I'm already always hot all the time.
Yeah. Look, I was listening to an interview with a guy who produced Madonna earlier on this week, and apparently a lot of her stuff is not only first take but first run through.
Oh, truly?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like they'll give her the melody, she'll finish writing the lyrics, she'll do one take, that's it. I'm not doing it again.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
But, so like, just do what you do, like you just got to just, if you get it, you can get it straight away. You don't have to worry about, like, you don't have to get someone to comp 300 lines and 15 takes,
Well, and also doing it at home or in sort of moments of stolen time. I can't really afford to just be doing take after take after take. So I kind of have to, if I've got some time, then that's what I'm going to use, unless it's a complete disaster. But most of the time, most of the stuff on the album is sort of first takes. If it's not great, I'll just put some more sounds on top of it till it sounds good.
That's not a bad formula.
It's not bad at all. Nathan, one of the things that stood out to me while I was listening to, and once again, I'm like Braggy. I love the fact you've got an album and you can actually invest some time in really trying to understand it. But some of your chorus lines or your hook lines, and or let's call them your hook lines, like "Couldn't Save Us Both" and "A Lifetime Gone at Last" is the two that are standing out. It's almost like those hooks are really understated vocally, right? So you've actually got to. I didn't pick especially in "Couldn't Save Us Both." I couldn't pick it up the first time around, so it's only the second time around that that's where the song title comes from. So I'm intrigued by the way your songs evolve and how you put them all together, because I mentioned off air that they're certainly not 3-minute pop songs. They're certainly not. You've got a song that goes for 8 minutes and 5 seconds. So, and and it suits, right? And there's absolutely no challenge from me as to why you would be doing that. But tell us how you evolve those songs and what makes like an 8-minute song as opposed to what's your shortest one? 4 minutes 20, right?
Yeah.
Which is still, by the way, they're not going to be played on radio. I'm just giving you the bad news now.
That's not
Bohemian Rhapsody says hi.
Yeah, that's not Beatles, Nathan.
No, it's not Beatles.
It's more Pink Floyd.
Yeah. I think it probably, some of it comes down to the fact that it's sort of a solo project. So like I don't have people to edit me. And interestingly, the shortest song on there, which is one of the oldest written songs, I presented that to Ted and Dave in that first incarnation of New Birds. I think at the time it was closer to probably 6 minutes. And they just absolutely dug their heels in and said, you have to cut it down. There's no need for like an instrumental guitar bit that just does the same thing for, double the time that it ends up being on the album. And so without those people editing me, I guess I have more freedom. But also I think I'm getting better at editing myself. So, a song like Breathe the Monsters, which is, like I sort of used to refer to that a bit. That's the longest song on the album, the last one, as it's kind of like my Brian Wilson's Smile or something. I had a couple of goes at that, and sort of I had all these bits that I really loved. And it just, like what I've heard about Smile, it just got too big and too overwhelming. I ended like what it looked like on Ableton was just tons and tons of tracks. The song went for 15 minutes or something, and I couldn't separate which bits were good and which bits were bad. It didn't have vocals yet, and I just I knew that there was something there, but I didn't really know what. So I just sort of had to put it away for a bit, and come back to it a bit later. At which point, maybe my head was in a more sort of editing songwriter mode, and I could actually find the bits I liked, and just make sense out of it. And then, something like Couldn't Save Us Both. It started life as an acoustic song that you can kind of hear underneath all the layers of guitars. There's just sort of me finger picking. At the start, it just sort of gets buried by guitars and stuff later on. But yeah, it almost started off as sort of a folk song or something, in the vein of like there's a Scottish band that I love called Frightened Rabbit, who they sort of like, almost post rock, but if you take away all the guitars, they're just a folk band really, with sort of like beautiful sort of dark haunting melodies. And I had that acoustic song, left that for a couple of years and came back to it and went, I actually want to be loud. Like the last version of New Birds, we were quite electronic and we're up there with keyboards and drum machines and loops and stuff. And it was great, but I just like, sometimes you just want to be on stage with a band and just rock out and make a big load of noise. So I sort of had to rewrite that a bit and just chuck drums and bass and layers of guitars on top of that to sort of make it more post-rock.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that song. It's a depressing song. It's like just the lyrics. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's It's, not many people write songs where they say, "I'm sorry, but I just can't help you. I'm not good enough." There's very few songs where people are saying, I don't love you. I'm not good enough. So can you give us a little insight, if you can, on what that's about?
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, thanks for asking and checking. Happy to talk about it. It's like I come from a family where going back generations, there's addiction issues and some fairly sort of monstrous things happening. And I recognize those tendencies in myself, they come out in like my love of music, which is sort of pretty addictive. Like Saturday morning, no one can talk to me because I'm down a rabbit hole listening to all the new releases that came out. And like the addiction is finding the new thing and going, oh, there's this awesome new band that I've just discovered, or this band I heard years ago that I haven't loved, and now they've got a great album. Like for me, that's the sort of side that I recognize myself. So the song is about, I guess, also being someone who's not living in their home country. Like I physically can't help people because of whatever's going on in their lives, because I'm just too far away. And so it's sort of that kind of thing, like recognizing addiction, and just, sometimes you just can't help people. They're too damaged, too broken. With all the will in the world, there's nothing you can do. Yeah. It is dark, but I guess, songwriters, you have to kind of get it out somehow.
Absolutely.
I think the good thing about it, that the addictive nature of people, and a lot of creative people have that, is that if you can channel it into something that doesn't hurt you, you can achieve great things beyond what other people would long have given up on.
Well said, Rossy.
Yeah. You just got to channel that into something that doesn't hurt you and it's positive for you. That's the goal, I think, anyway.
Yeah, that's the aim. Yeah, channel it into making music and annoying people by going, no, you can't. I've got more stuff that I need to record. I'm in the zone.
Leave me alone. Stop talking.
I'm interested. So Saturday morning's your morning to listen to music. That's your time you listen to. I've asked this one question once to someone else before. If I was going to listen to your album, when do you think, what's the time and the place for me to listen to an album like that? When would you recommend?
I feel like it's nighttime music. I mean, I've listened to it. I listened to it actually at a theme park when I was kind of doing like a last minute check, and I was escorting my son and some of his friends to this theme park, and I was just there with my laptop doing some mastering, and just like out in the bright sun listening to the album, going, well, this is not how you're meant to listen to this. It's not right. With people splashing in a swimming pool and roller coasters going by, don't do that. Do the opposite of that.
They're stress testing it. They're stress testing it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, I listened to it this morning on my walk. I had like a 6K walk to get my coffee and come walk around. So and I got the gist of it. So even though I was out in the sunshine.
Okay, nice. Well, that's
What does it look like on stage? So you've talked about you're bringing the band back and you're getting a band together. What does this look like? What does the album look like as a live venture?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've mostly tackled the things that sort of really obviously look like a band can do them. The sort of guitar, bass, drums, bass songs. I have done some of the other songs live before, but with like 86 to 88, which is very electronic, quite complex, changing time signatures. I've done that on stage before with Newbird Chris, who is an awesome musician, very sort of talented at helping me realize the sound. So there's definitely going to be a period of experimenting. Luckily, the musicians that I'm playing with, I have absolute faith that I can kind of go, well, here's what it is. They've heard what it sounds like on record. How do we recreate this? Because like some of the electronic stuff is going to be interesting. I want it to sound like guitar, bass, and drums. I kind of don't want to bring the drum machines and keyboards out. So really trying to sort of challenge myself.
Ableton is great for tracks.
Yeah, right.
Use the laptop with Ableton as backing tracks. Be great. Work perfect.
Yeah, I could. I just that was kind of the last incarnation of Newbirds. I sort of more, and what I've said to the band is I kind of want to be like a cover band covering the album.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
I get that. Yeah.
Like almost sort of restricting ourselves, making it challenging for ourselves.
Maybe not a conventional drum kit. Maybe some percussion and some electronic pads and.
Braggy's been to WOMAD again.
Yeah. Well, this stuff would go down.
It would.
Now, I have a question that's from my daughter who gets a mention on this podcast every now and again. She was super impressed by the artwork on the cover. So who's responsible for that? She thought that was fantastic, and I do too. But.
Okay, yeah. So the artwork, like the main sort of picture underneath all the writing, that is a friend of mine called Farf. That's his artist name that he goes by. Really, really talented artist. And I saw that artwork a couple of years ago. He posted it on his Instagram, and I just fell in love with it. A friend of mine, in fact, Newbird Dave, he, like my old buddy Dave, who I was in my first band in when we were 16, he said to me it kind of reminded him of Nirvana in Utero, or that kind of 1993 era of Nirvana, which that makes sense. I mean, I absolutely adore In Utero. That's my go-to Nirvana kind of sound. So maybe that's what attracted me to it. And there's a back cover which is sort of a similar idea, but slightly different colors. So yeah, that's where that came from. I usually like to be very DIY and do everything myself, but I'd sort of been thinking about that artwork for a couple of years. And when it came to it, like the songs just sort of were crying out to be put out, and so I looked at those pictures again and went, you know what? I think it works altogether.
Yeah, the artwork definitely fits with the music. It's almost got a Francis Bacon. I don't know if you guys know who that is. Sort of style to it. It's good. How do you go with the self promotion and all the other stuff that comes with trying to get your music out there?
It's challenging. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of the reasons why we ground to a bit of a halt in 2015, 2016. Just like the sort of, the endless blagging and putting yourself out there to, often at unsigned band level, it seems like no one's listening. Which, you know, I'm a big music fan. I've read enough about bands sort of talking about shouting into the abyss and no one's listening, that kind of thing. But I don't know. I feel like because I've had all this history. I'm not 21 anymore, and I just like I can kind of do this without it's not caring as much, but I can do this without that kind of weight of expectation on my shoulders, I guess. I'm not freaking out and going, oh, I'm 22. If I get to past 30, then it's all over. I'm just like, you know what?
You're doing it for you.
Yeah, I'm doing it for me. Yeah. And some really wise words that I heard actually in COVID times, in lockdown. My wife organized, she put me in touch with Royston Langdon from Space Hog. They had that song In the Meantime that was
a bit of great song.
Yeah. So, you know, in COVID times, lots of musicians were putting themselves out there to offer tutorials and stuff like that. And I'm a huge fan of Royston and Space Hog. Absolutely love his bass playing, and I was playing a bit more bass myself. And so she put me in touch with him. We were sort of talking about bass, and, you know, put some musicians in a room together, and they'll end up talking about anything else but what they're meant to be doing. And he gave me some great advice, because that was 5-6 years ago, and I was saying, you know, I love making music. I make music all the time, but I just don't know what to do with it when it's done. Like the traditional thing is, like, all the rock biographies and all the history says you put an album out, you tour, you do all this stuff, you get signed. That's what you do. And you know, I'm not doing that. I missed the boat. And Royston just kind of went, you know what? If you love doing it and you have to do it, and there's like no way you could ever stop, then just do it. It doesn't matter what you end up with or what happens to the music. You just make it for you and see what happens. And that's kind of how this album came about. Like, a bunch of those songs were written with Royston's guidance. Like, I would write them, send them off to him. He'd give me a bit of feedback about them, bounce them back and forth. And I think that's, you know, another reason why it feels like a genuine, completely different thing from anything I've done before, because it's just like, I'm not trying to please anyone or do any sort of traditional thing. I just did them, looked at these 8 songs and went, okay, that's an album. Guess I could put it out now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get the feeling that, yeah, you've got a really honest take on what you're doing, and that's really significantly hard for a lot of people to do, right? To be honest about what they're really doing. Now, as an independent artist, we speak to lots of them about, you know, what the battle of, you know, going from being the producer, the musician, the songwriter, the marketer, the funder, everything else. So, like, you're just wearing hat after hat after hat after hat, and it's tiring, you know. Like, and dance, you know, like, and of course, you know, getting into the socials is just like, it's just a look into the abyss when you start having to manage your own socials, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
it's a hungry beast.
I just pretend I'm still in 1988.
Huh?
I just pretend I'm still in 1988 and there's no socials.
There's something to that.
I'm playing here next week.
Is it printing A4 posters and putting them on the telegraph poles around the local area?
They're still out there, though, those posters.
I know. I was actually looking at the cost of how much it costs to do runs of posters this week.
Yeah.
Not cheap, I got to tell you. Not cheap. But like, there's a whole lot of old ways of doing it that are still just as valid. But, like, it's just a battle that, like, you can't be all things to all people, you know?
Yeah. I think this time around I had to sort of not freak out too much about social media. You know, there's TikTok, which I I don't really get why new birds would be on TikTok, and like who would be looking at it, and what would be the point of it?
Some 12-year-old from New Mexico
to be on TikTok. That's too short of a format for you. Everything.
Yeah.
You're too short.
Your long version. You got long songs.
Wouldn't work.
You got a long
YouTube
beard.
Nathan. Yeah. YouTube Nathan.
Yeah. I mean, on TikTok, we wouldn't even get to the first verse.
No, you're YouTube, definitely.
Yeah. So this time I just I kind of have times where I just sit with my laptop and just kind of go through lists and send out emails and hassle people that way. I kind of like, a part of me is sort of going, I don't really want to do like the being on social media trending thing. Like if there is an audience for new birds out there, then I don't think that's the way to get them. It's more about connecting with some people and word of mouth, I guess. Stuff like, I mean, I just filmed a video for Blue Light Falling, which is sort of looking like it's sort of one of the more accessible kind of singles on the album, although it probably goes for 6 or 7 minutes or something. But I feel like, having a visual element and doing live stuff, but also with live stuff, I kind of feel like I've spent a long time and many years kind of doing the live thing, sort of starting at the bottom and trawling around and putting shows together. So I'm kind of like messaging other bands and going, hey, do you need someone to support you? Like sort of more bands who are sort of slightly a few more rungs up the ladder than me. So yeah, we'll see.
That's good.
Excellent. So what is your best? Do you have a social platform? Are you on Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, so there's Instagram, which is Nathan Jones without the vowels, so like Nathan Jones.
Okay. Yeah,
that's where I am there. There's also a New Birds Facebook page, which is a thing that happens. YouTube, I feel like, yeah, you're right. YouTube is a pretty good way to go to sort of do that visual element. Like I was looking the other day at some of the old videos that 2015 version of New Birds did, and I was like, that's a fun thing to do. Like just be in the rehearsal room with the band and talk a bit of rubbish, edit it a bit, and put those kind of things out there. So yeah, it's kind of those three, I guess, at the moment.
Awesome. I'm glad you've made a video, because I think that those songs really lend themselves to some crazy weird videos. I feel
I had some fun with it.
You contact the uni and you find these like film students that are looking to do different projects and things. Need an assessment. Hook onto one of them.
Yeah,
for cheap.
Yeah. What I went for, I found some old footage of the International Language of Mime. So this is, me as a 20-year-old, and I contacted those guys and said, "Look, this footage is great. Would you mind if I did something with it?" And I was sort of thinking about like a projection of that footage on top of my own face, and sort of hoping it would sync up and look like the new me singing with the young me, and it doesn't really sync up. There's a couple of moments when it does, but it's that kind of
that's cool.
Almost like early Floydy kind of, or Velvet Underground thing, projection on something that looks like, I'm pretty excited about it. Can't wait to get it out. I just have to finish recording some other tracks to go on some kind of EP and put it all together.
Cool.
Excellent.
I kind of feel there's that art. It's not commercial. It's an art sort of vibe, isn't it?
Rossy, now you're in the telephone booth.
Yeah.
Now it's like you're on the end of an old telephone.
Really?
Yeah.
It's good in a way. It's very vintage.
It is vintage. Well, Rossy's vintage.
Very much so. All right. So Nathan, right? So what I'm going to start winding up, right? So it has been awesome speaking with you today and really getting a bit more of an understanding of what it is that you've been doing. So that's absolutely awesome. We will have your links to your YouTube channel and Facebook in the show notes. But my big question is, now that you're putting the band back together, can we expect another album?
Cool.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah, like I mentioned, there's definitely an EP which is coming. Again, another Nine Inch Nails reference. It's like I love that kind of thing that they would do of putting out an EP of sort of alternate versions of things and calling the songs by different names, but it's still like recognizable as something from the album. So I'm sort of putting that together. I've sent some of the songs out to old New Birds collaborators to do some remixes and stuff. So I think once that's done, yeah, maybe it is time for another album. I don't know. Later in the year, I could do a Beatles and get a couple of albums out in the year.
Yeah, that was insane. Those guys.
Yeah.
That is absolutely awesome.
Just Curly, before we finish up, I just want to say for the people who maybe watch us on YouTube, but don't you reckon tonight Rossy's got a bit of a Jack Nicholson One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest look to him?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
It's closer to reality than you realise.
That'll get us at least 50 views.
All right, Nathan, it's been absolutely awesome speaking with you tonight. Really wishing you every success moving forward. It's so interesting to, your story, that journey, that compulsive nature around your music. Absolutely love it. We'll make sure that we've got some snippets that will be coming into the episode. So if people have liked and loved your music, you'll see the links in the show notes. Next week, we have once again another amazing female artist joining us. Her name's Camille Trail, and she has just put out some new music. So we'll be speaking with her at Fresh Country, I believe. So it's going to be once again just one of those awesome chats. And then we've got a young lady from Washington State coming the following week, a young lady called Lexi Newen. So, and once again, we've just been blown away by the amount of international artists that actually want to come and talk to us, which I'm still trying to work out why. But anyway, that's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. So if you've loved what you heard, hit follow, share the show, and dig deeper into our Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and Amazon Music playlists. Of course, we'll be adding some of Nathan's songs to those playlists, so you'll be able to listen to them. As always, it's more artists, more stories, more reasons to listen. This is Unfiltered and Undiscovered, and we will see you all again next week. Once again, thanks again, Nathan. It's been awesome.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Emily, you're waiting patiently. Oh, Emily, 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 oh Emily, it's great to see you care for me, care for you. Ooh, ooh. Emily, oh Emily, you're always there to carry me. Me and you.
Well, that's a wrap for this episode of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. If you've liked what you've heard, please do us a favor. Hit follow, leave a rating, and share it with a mate who needs some new music and a little bit of laughter in their lives. We're all about discovering the songs that actually mean something. So if you're into raw talent, great stories, and music that hits you right in the guts, you're in the right place, and we'd love to see you back again next week. Don't forget our Spotify playlists. Every damn song, every track we've ever talked about, rising female country artists and undiscovered covers. And just now, they're not just available on Spotify. You'll also find them on YouTube Music and Apple Music as well. Now, we will be back next week with more music, more stories, and probably some more arguments. But that's what keeps us unfiltered. We'll see you next week.